in the city, and I forgot that I was in Humboldt County. And this is the laser pointer that I got. What is that? I can use it later, but I can't use it now. I mean, you know, whatever. Cool. I'm really surprised to see so many people here, especially because of the change of my program. It was a very last minute thing, but I think we all know what happened September 23rd, 1808. Of course, right? It was one of the greatest inventions that changed our lives forever. Behold, for it is mightier than the sword. We are, of course, talking about the Duncan Mackenzie fountain pen. Thank you. We'll not only be talking about fountain pens, we're also going to talk about fountain pen parts. Just so you know, I just want to make sure everybody's clear. We'll not only have, let's see, we got nibs. We're going to talk about technique of film. We're going to talk about the history of how the fountain pen went through the ballpoint pen, then on to the roller pen. And of course, we can't talk about fountain pens without, of course, talking about the autonoto. You know, I mean, that'd be crazy, right? So I want everybody to sit back and relax for an hour and a half of just pure fountain pen enjoyment. Are you ready? All right. It was a cool afternoon. In early September. No, okay. I didn't know they were going to have somebody to introduce me. So I asked two of my friends back in New York if they wouldn't mind talking a little bit about props for me and just introducing me. So I hope you don't mind just a short video. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. I hope it's loud enough. So keep your ears down so you can hear. Okay. Everybody got a notepad and stuff out? Yeah. All right. Notepads. Get ready for your notes.
Hi, Jay. Hi, friends of Jay.
Hi, friends of Jay. I'm Ann Nero.
And I'm Jerry Stiller.
Ah, that you are, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Now, we're here to talk about props.
Yeah, props.
You know how important props are? I mean, in Lady Windermere's fan, there'd be no play without the fan. It's
That's
very
right.
important. Right.
That's to show you how being a prop person is. I started on props.
Jerry started out in props.
Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about this, you know. Props, the reason you talk about props is because when an actor has the right prop, it inspires him, it stimulates him.
He can do anything.
He can turn lines that may be nebbish, meaning nothingness, and turn them into something more important. He's holding something, not only in his hand, but it's inspiring him, it's turning him on.
When he's holding that suitcase, the two suitcases, Willie Loman. Extreme curvature of the spine and a will to go on and sell.
Now you said it. Now you understand that, right? And in the hands of the right person.
Right.
Those
In the hands of the right person, the prop meister is the most important guy in the business.
Exactly. Now, when I did props in Memphis, Tennessee, back in the 50s,
Tell us about it.
I was just a young actor, a neophyte, wanting to get to the top. Who doesn't?
And what show do you do props for?
I did the props for Blithe Spirit.
Blithe
That's the Noel
Spirit.
Coward play. In the
Noel Coward.
last scene, Mr. Condamine discovers that his first wife suddenly is back in the room. She's kind of a mystical person, a ghost. She comes
She's a
down
ghost,
and
that's
she
for
starts
sure.
ripping down pictures off the wall.
That's
She
right.
starts throwing glass all over the place, knocking over furniture.
It's a heavy prop show.
He's trying to get rid of her. But what happens when I did props?
What happened?
I got a television set, took out the insides, took a 16mm projector, and started shooting a picture of Mr. Condamine and Ruth on the screen. And he tries to get her out of his life by turning off the television set. set. Now, there was no television set in the original play when
This
it was
was
done
back
in
in
London.
1832.
I updated the whole thing.
He did it.
I went to a pawn shop and I picked up this television set. The guy let me have it on trust. I took out the insides.
That's it.
Anyway,
darling.
when this show was over,
Anyway, a prop
forgot
guy. When a prop guy is at the top of their game, they're a joy to work with.
and they forget the actors.
That's
They're
right.
looking at the props.
And when you get a prop guy like that, it's great.
And that's where you get Jay Duckworth.
Until that person comes along.
We are stuck with Jay Duckworth.
So, I mean, one thing no matter where you're from, no matter where you come from, if you're persistent, you can get where you want to go, honestly. Let's see what we got here. George Street Playhouse was the first place I went to when I moved out east. I totally did it just as a pure accident. Went in one day and dropped off my resume, and they said, the person at the desk said to me, "Do you hang lights?" And I was like, "Absolutely. I used to hang lights in college all the time. Why?" They said, "We have work for you. Come on in tomorrow." I never hung a light in my life. So what I did is I went in, and some of the guys who were also in the lighting grid, that was hundreds of pounds ago, showed me actually how to do lights. And I actually stayed at George Street Playhouse for almost 12 years. The Berkshire Theater Festival, there was Alan Cutler, the props master at George Street, said if you ever want to give up building boxes and you want to start using your creativity to its fullest potential, I'll take you on as an assistant at Summer Stock. Now, if any of you ever go to anybody plan to go to Summer Stock? Great. Go to Summer Stock if you have a chance. When you're done with your shift, go to another department and volunteer. Volunteer in another department because it's a free education. Does you guys know what a moleskin notebook is? Yeah. Does anybody have one? Yeah? Okay, hold on. Somebody right there. Oh! All right. Not going back. No. What I want you guys to do is write in those moleskin notebooks of every recipe, every shortcut that you find in the Summer Stock. Everything you have, any kind of idea. When you don't have something to write down there for a recipe, what I want you to do is I want you to write or draw. Draw everything you see. If you're on a bus, draw somebody's bag, draw somebody's face. Always, always practice your art. That's what Alan taught me. Which got me the first off-Broadway gig at the Cherry Lane Theater. Just working really, really hard. Took the director out to dinner to thank him for the opportunity to work at the Cherry Lane. He said, "I have something for you later on this summer, if you don't mind waiting. Just don't take a job for the summer." I waited and I waited. It was mid-June, and I got a phone call. And I was like, I totally gave up. And I was like, "Oh, Michael, so glad I finally got to hear from you." He said, "Yeah, I told them that I really wouldn't want to do this show unless you were my prop master." And I was blown away. I was like, that's really great. What is it? He said, "It's a new Terrence McNally play starring Marion Seldes and Nathan Lane. And I would love for you to be up there." And I said, "Well, it sounds really good. Let's see what's going to happen." It turned out through some of my work, I became a props designer on it. And I asked the production manager if I could get my name on the first page with the rest of the designers and on the poster. And he's like, "I don't know if we can do that. That's not a standard." And I was like, "I didn't think you guys stood for standards. I thought you went beyond them. And he said, well, we'll see what we can do. And I said, if it's a problem with paying for the ink, I'll go ahead and pay for the ink. And they were like, no problem. So that's the first place I did prop design, was at Primary Stages. The production manager from Primary Stages was so impressed with the work because I was there from the beginning of the day till they kicked me out. It's always about the details, as much detail work as you can do. He moved me over to the new group, and I worked with Derek McLean. Write that name down, Derek McLean, unless you know who he is. He's a Tony Award-winning designer, set designer, and we did our first show together at the new group, and he has asked for me to work for him every show that he did after that, which led me down to the Vineyard Theater. The Vineyard Theater you might have heard of. It's where Avenue Q started. It's also where Title of Show started. It's a really incredible, incredible theater. And then I got, from working in the city, I built a webpage because Michael Morris from Cherry Lane had moved out to LA and became the director and producer for a show called Brothers and Sisters. You guys have heard of that? He's a nice guy. From that, Rock Hard Films got me to do some set dressing for him. And I kept on asking them, and I was like telling Mark, the director, I was like, you know, I'm the best in the business. You ever guys, you know, need anything else out east? I'm the best in the business, best in the business, best in the business. I kept saying that. He finally called me up and said, put your money where your mouth is. He said, I got a new record deal with these guys, and we're going to be shooting a video in Brooklyn, and I want you to be my art director. And this was my first gig as an art director. Let's see if we can get this going. The shoot took less than 12 hours. And we had to do it all within a 3-block place in Brooklyn, New York. And we started at 6:30 in the morning, and everybody behind these buildings were just like outraged because it was so loud, the playback we were doing. When it was number 8 and stayed in the top 10 videos for 2 months. And I was pretty proud of that because I took that check and bought that Mac. Well, everybody else was coming in with their Macs. The lighting guy was like, yeah, here's what we're gonna do with the bang and boom. And the costume was like, yeah, guy, that thing you did that. And I was like, here's my photos of the car. And that's what I got. I'm bringing game. And then I did some art direction for TV and for the production design group. I told my brother Tad, back in Missouri, I was like, you know what? You're finally going to see some of my work. You don't even have to come out to New York to see my work. I'm sending some of my work to you. It's going to be on TV. He's like, really? He's like, what's it going to be on? I'm like, Eastman. You might have heard of Eastman because they're all over. And he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, there's like 2 or 3 stations. I'm doing like their one up in Danbury, Connecticut. I got Eastman 1, Eastman 2. And he was like, are you working for ESPN? I'm like, yeah, that's them. You've heard. And from them, I also moved on to, went from the production design group. Yeah, right? Why is it doing this now?
Dude, push the button.
Yes Network, Center Stage. Come on, you stay with me. The Yankees Network was redoing the Center Stage. That they have a TV show. They have a TV show that they do where they invite people in who aren't with baseball, and they talk about New York life. It's really cool. So my film and television career just started to take off, and I was like, finally, after 16 years of just like digging in, I'm finally going to start going into film, TV, and making money. Then I heard Sean McCardle was leaving the public theater. And when I was a kid, when I was in college, you're not kids. When I was in college, I saw George Wolfe on PBS talking about a theater that when he's in the subway, he wants to see all the colors of that people in his theater. Everybody, from the highest to the lowest, it's going to reflect the city. And then I heard something about Shakespeare in the Park. And that just really intrigued me because they gave away the tickets to Shakespeare in the Park. So I wrote every designer and every writer and everybody who I knew in theater, and I said, please, if I've done anything good for you, if I made your vision come alive, could you please write me a letter of recommendation? Within 2 days, I had 22 letters of recommendation. The first one was from Arthur Lawrence. Do you know who that is? Write that name down. Arthur Lawrence is the man who started the career of Stephen Sondheim. He also started the career of Barbara Streisand. He wrote I Can Get It For You Wholesale. What else? Gypsy and West Side Story. Yeah, he wrote those. So, and then the next one was from Terrence McNally, and the next one was from Christopher Duran, and then from directors, and then from actors. And I made a packet, and I walked in, and I did the boldest move that I could ever do. Is I went in, and I sat down with the guys. Ruth, the boss, I gave her a packet, and then I gave John a packet. Those are the people interviewing me. And I sat down in my chair and I said, you realize this is only a formality because you guys come highly recommended. Ruth laughed and she said, at least we know he has a sense of humor. So, the Public Theater was founded by Joseph Papp in 1954 as the Shakespeare Workshop. It's one of the nation's preeminent cultural institutions. The downtown building at Astor Place houses 6 performance spaces. And I have tech right after that just to remind me. Last week, Tuesday of last week, I had just finished coverage for Compulsion with Manny Patinkin. So it was 10:30. I had to go downstairs because it was the second night of tech for Timon of Athens. Once that tech was over, I went down to my office to type up the notes and send them out to the props team. And when I walked across the stage of the Newman stage, that's the stage that a chorus line started on. And they're building IHO, which is Intelligent Homosexual, which is Tony Kushner's new play. And then I went into my office and there were drawings sitting on my desk for As You Like It and Measure for Measure, getting ready for the summer. So everything's going on constantly. There is not a space that isn't being used in that theater. Shakespeare in the Park is up at the Delacorte, and it seats 1,800 people, and every ticket is free. This is where I work in the summer. It is a beautiful, beautiful theater. It is huge. The legend goes that Joe Papp broke down in the truck from the mobile Shakespeare in the middle of the park right here and just left it. And fought and fought and fought until they started doing the Shakespeare in the Park there. Anne and Jerry also had performed in Shakespeare there. 2 Gentlemen of Verona. But behind is Turtle Pond, and this side is our offices. My office is underneath the stage, and it's to sit right here on an evening when that place gets rushed by people and the sun is just setting and the play starts, it's overwhelming. I don't think I'll ever get over that excitement. Just to give you an idea of the work the public does, it's 56 years, 42 Tony Awards, 149 Ovies, 40 Drama Desk Awards, 24 Lucille Luttal Awards, and 4 Pulitzer Prizes. And just recently, we worked with Peter Sellers. Write that name down. He directed Othello, which was full of Seymour Hoffman. Richard Foreman. Write that name down. He did a show, Idiot Savant, with Willem Dafoe. And the Pulitzer Prize winning Susan Laurie Parks, who wrote Fucking A, Top Dog, Underdog, is our writer's chair. She is in charge of all the plays that come in and all the things we do. She passes them on to Oscar Hughes, our artistic director. One of her shows we just did was Book of Grace. We also do public forums, and they talk about current issues with the shows, but they also can be just fun. This one was with Tony Kushner, talking to Stephen Sondheim about his new book, Finishing the Hat. So we had to get the Skirball Center, which seats almost 2,000 people, because the switchboard went crazy trying to get tickets for this event. Bare bones shows we do at the end of the summer, top of August, when we're done with our rep. A couple of years ago we did hair. And then this year we did Paul Simon's Cape Man. We totally retooled it, and he was vindicated from the 1995 horrificness that happened to him on Broadway. Hair, Brother-Sister Plays, 12th night, were named in Entertainment Weekly's 2009 Top 10 Shows. And GATS, which is the entire telling of The Great Gatsby, which took an entire day. You had a dinner break in the middle of it. You had a 2.5-hour dinner break. But that was GATS, Merchant of Venice, and Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson were numbers 1, 2, and 3 on the New York Times Best Plays of 2010. We also do Under the Radar. It's an annual theater festival that spotlights international artists ranging from new talent coming up to masters of their field. We just had a group from Belarus come. You can look on YouTube, do public theater, Belarus, and you'll find that these people did a play that was talking about, it was called Being Harold Pinter, and it was talking about political unrest. And they were told by their government, if they came back to Belarus, they would all be thrown in jail. That's the kind of theater that you want to do. We do a public lab series where we do new and classic works that are scaled down, minimal set, minimal props, minimal costumes, and for those, the tickets are only $15. We're giving it away because we want people to experience theater. We want people to come into theater and just see it. The Emerging Writers Group, which we also do, takes young playwrights in the early stages of their career, and it gives them a home where they feel secure to work their craft. Sometimes some of the plays that come out of Emerging Writers Group go right into the labs, and we work the labs and have a production so they can see a fully realized production of it. And then for actors, we have the Shakespeare Lab. It's a tuition-free professional actor-developed program exploring the rigors and challenges of performing Shakespeare. They take a play, bear it down, and then they rehearse it for 3 weeks, and then they take it out to local schools. Absolutely for free. Absolutely for free. Whoopi Goldberg said that the first play that she ever saw was Joe Papp's Mobile Shakespeare. So these kids sometimes will never get a chance to see theater unless it's free, unless it's brought to them. I also do something called the Prop Summit. The first time we did this, it was at the end of August, and we had about 15, 17 people. We get together and we meet, we talk about prop issues, we talk about how we can make it better in New York, what challenges we had, and what we hope to do in the future. The next time we did it, we had 47 people from Broadway, off-Broadway, Emerson College up in Boston, and all the way down to Princeton. People joined us. And there's my big old head. And Chad Roscoe is there. He's from Roscoe. Really cool guy. Chad Roscoe, too. This is the first show that I did in the park. Has anybody seen Glee? Yeah. Do you know Jonathan Groff? Yes. That sexy man right there is Jonathan Groff, starring in about to burn his car in Hair. The next show we did, and we sent that up to Broadway, and now it's on tour. The next one we did, that guy standing next to me with a beard is John Weedman, and this is Stephen Sondheim when we worked on Roadshow. It was my first main stage show at the theater. And it was directed by John Doyle, who, the Tony Award-winning John Doyle, who did the Sweeney Todd, where all the actors played their own instruments. Okay? How intimidated would you be if that's your first main stage show? You're like, oh yeah, I knew you guys, you did Pacific Overtures, that's really cool. This is Why Torture is Wrong and the People Who Love Them, by Christopher Durang, one of my favorite authors. There is 7 different locations on a turntable. 7 different locations in this thing. I had to dress 7 different locations. That's Christopher Durang, and this is called the Butterfly Room. The dad kind of loses it after 9/11, and he loads up his study upstairs that he used to keep butterflies in with all kinds of weaponry waiting for the next attack. But the great thing about this room is it finally brought together electricians and carpenters asking that one true question. It's coming! It's coming! Not kid ourselves. The Good Negro started out as emerging writers. They went to a lab. It went down to Texas. And then it went from Texas back up to us. This is it in the Leicester Hall. And then Olivia Dukakis, Jonathan Groff again in The Singing Forest. Craig Lucas wrote the script. Write that name down. But it was really, really a dynamic play. And then this one started out in our lab. It's called Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. It sold out our lab before it even opened. We extended it 2 times in the lab. The next season, it was on our main stage. We extended it 5 times. We could not extend it anymore because we needed the Newman Theater to start building the stuff for the park. So we had to send it to Broadway. And all the cast and everyone who worked on this was under the age of 30. The writer, everybody. They were just an amazing, amazing group of people. And if you can get the cast album on iTunes, please listen to it. It's so good. It is so good. This handsome young lad in the blue coat is Anne Hathaway. In 12th Night. She was a total joy to work with. We had to stop halfway through our tech period because most of the cast had to go to the Tony Awards. And it was great because when she came, she was dirty and sweaty, went into her dressing room, had like 3 people come in, help her, like do her up, and she came out, she looked like a China doll. And as soon as she came out, I was like, oh my God. And she said, you think it looks nice? I was like, I have the same dress at home. Then we did Merchant of Venice. Over there is Hamish Linkletter. His mother did the Linkletter, developed a Linkletter technique for voice. Anybody heard of that? Yes. All right, done. And that gentleman behind the desk is, of course, Al Pacino. I know, I'm impressed too. We made that lamp. We made that lamp. Okay, I'm going to tell this story. Can I tell this story?
Do.
Okay. So we're making this box. Let me go back one. We're making Al's money box right here, and he has to carry it around all the time under his arm. So we had to do a bunch of different boxes and check on the size for him. So we were at the Duke, we were downstairs, and we figured some out, and we went upstairs in the elevator to get to the rehearsal halls. And we're just chatting a little bit, and the elevator stops, and I stop talking because I don't want anybody to have to start a conversation, any kind of a conversation with Al Pacino. So I step back a little bit, and I keep quiet. I'm just looking forward. The guy comes on, he's looking, he's like, I know you. Al Pacino's looking straight forward, he goes, you know of me. Go to the next floor, guy gets off, and I start laughing. I'm like, how many times do you use that line? He's like, all the time. He was great guy. So finally, we're at the Bacchae, Joanne Appolite. Pap died right before George Wolfe took over. The Bacchae was written by Euripides, 405 BCE. There will be a test. It's a tragedy based on the mythologic tale of Dionysus, the son of Zeus and Semele, the king Pentheus of Thebes, and his mother Agave, as well as their grandfather. Dionysus, who is actually Pentheus' cousin, punishes him harshly for not recognizing his divinity and refusing to worship him. The punishment for Agave, as we all know, is she's turned into tequila. I didn't really read up. I'm just guessing. And the punishment for Pentheus is he's ripped apart by his mother. Okay, I guess she goes crazy. Ripped up by his mother, aunts, and the women of Thebes in the hills of Cathiron. Cathiron. What does this mean to us as prop people? A little bit of a dream. Our first priority is to read the translation of the play. Next is reread in order to take notes and make a prop list and a reference list. Start research, go into mythology and cultural references, as well as cross-cultural references. There's a part in the Bacchae where Dionysus is standing there and the walls of the prison fall down. If you know your New Testament, Paul stole that story and said, I was standing in the walls of my prison when the Lord knocked the walls down. It was the exact same story, exact same translation in Greek. More research on the artwork of the time and of the people of that era. You want to research laws, you want to research social mores, and the trends of the time. You want to know what people can do, can't do, whether the left hand's clean or not, or the right hand's clean, why they cut off the right hand, why they cut off the left hand. These are really important. You have to know a little bit of everything. Here we see Bacchus as a grown man, and right here, this thing is called a thyrsi. It's a thyrsus with ivy on top of it, and he has an ivy crown. He always is accompanied by satyrs who play music for him constantly. He is the god of earthly pleasures. He is the god of theater and the god of wine. Supposedly, the ivy was supposed to help out in a hangover. You got to research stuff. This is a classical representation of Bacchus, and this is more how they felt about him later on. In that, if you study the painting, his nails are dirty. He's got the wine is spilling out of his glass, so he's not even holding it well, and all the fruit is rotting. It is the story of misspent youth. This is Pentheus and the Bacchanalia. As you can see, there are the Bacchus ripping apart King Pentheus here, and here's another Bacchus ripping apart a deer. Okay. Up here is another relief of Bacchus starting to get pulled apart. King Pentheus starting to get pulled apart, and then another Bacchus and his thyrsus. And if you look at Horace, you will also find about the myth of being ripped apart, eaten, and reborn. So here's one of my favorite that I found. You can see right here, that is King Pentheus. He is not having a good day. And there is one of the satyrs just freaking out. Because these women, every time these women go mad. They go mad by this young man's beauty. They go mad through the wine. It's incredible. And here's Bacchus again, drinking on the other side of this plate with his satyr. And what's that? Oh my gosh, it's a leg and thigh of our good old friend, King Pentheus. So you have to do an intense study of the script. Where was this person killed? the script it says, the flesh was ripped from his chest and tossed about in sport. One ran off with his foot, the soft-soled shoe still attached. So here's our challenge. The audience will only be 7 foot away. Oh. Yeah! I know! The body is to be highly realistic. Our director wanted to use real hands. Remember Richard Foreman, Peter Sellers? And she was the same group. She was married to Philip Glass for a while. It was that whole avant-garde theater. Samuel Beckett took one of her plays away, Endgame. He pulled it off the market for a couple years so that Joanne Akalaitis could not do it. Honest to God. Check Wikipedia. And I was like, and she had also used slaughtered pigs in a production of the puppet before. But that was in the early 80s. They had them in freezers, they hung them up at the top of the play. By the end of the play, they were dripping from their nostrils, and they just put them back into the freezer. Nah, that's artsy, man. No. But art is not good. Now, the sanitary was like, I was just really worried about that because the heat of the summer and the rehearsals during the day. It was crazy hot. It was maddening. It's like 100 and some odd degrees out there. Do I want my actors touching rancid meat? No. And the cost? There's no way we can afford it. That's crazy. It's madness. So, what's a person going to do? You do research. Way before Lady Gaga, baby. Way before Lady Gaga. So in our R&D, we found Smooth On out of Easton, Pennsylvania. We used a product called Dragon Skin. I used it before. It's a silicone-based rubber. Stays glossy, stays strong, stands up to heat, stands up to water. And I used it before on a steak when I did Christopher Durang's Adrift in Macau. So I had to somehow transfer this idea, no bigger than a piece of paper, to an entire human being. Why not? Because if you jump, the devil will appear. I'm not kidding. If you jump, the devil will appear. Have faith. Write that down. So we got bones from our prop stuff, some spray foam, which is great stuff. Home Depot, you get Lowe's, hardware stores, 2 talented people. Eric Hart, my assistant prop master, who does a prop blog, erichartprops.com. Write that down. And a sophomore, Michael Precorian, who came up from the middle of Texas to intern with us at the time. And he used to hunt, so he knew what insides looked like crazy. So with the spray foam, it's a 2-part process. You do one side, and then you have to wait for the other side to dry. Like a hamburger, you flip it, and let it dry again, and you're set. So there's the great stuff that we got. It was a cost of $125. Not that bad. Speaking of costs, there's a great book coming out. Over here, Andy, you want to stand up, talk about that for a second? Please, just tell us about the book.
The book is about the fabulous Broadway designer. Her first major production was the original Grease on Broadway. She did Agnes of God, which has some blood techniques that you would have been very proud of.
Yes.
She's spent her entire career in theater. She's done movies and TV. She did the livery for the Rainbow Room and Windows on the World, which is the restaurant that was in the Twin Towers, which is another story in itself. And all of these stories and anecdotes are contained in this wonderful book. You can order it for yourself. You can order it for your school libraries. You can order it for your mother and father, so you can prove that being in theater does lead to a full-time, well-paid job. And you can order one for your children.
And you can have them
USITT in North Carolina, but it is on Amazon.com. So if you don't make it to the conference,
And you
it's still
get a little bit of money out of that, right? Just a little out of yours? Because I know how your aunt is dying, and you need to get her that loan.
First 1,000 copies, I start getting the royalties.
So let's hold around, people. All right, here we go. Good job, man. Hold up, keep going to your family. So we took the great stuff and we covered some bones with it, and these are preliminaries. We're trying to figure out how we can talk her out of using real meat. So we took some bones and we're carving them down with the great stuff, and we use dragon skin Q, which is the quick drying dragon skin. Without the Q, it's 4 hours. With the Q, it's about 45 minutes. Cost of dragon skin, $367.78. Next thing is make sure you also have cup A and cup B. Don't ask me why. That's why the dragon skin was so effing expensive. Everybody makes mistakes. Main reason is to regulate the weight of your pour. You cannot just pour and guess. These things have to be done precisely. So get yourself a good scale. There is the pigment called Silk Pig, which is a silicone-based pigment, and luckily just a little bit of that really makes for a good color. It comes in all kinds of different colors. You mix it right there and just do a direct apply. Make sure that you tear your scale. Put your cup on, it'll say whatever, tear it, and then it sends the balance back to 0. Make sure you do that. Eric Hart gets very bad at me. I'm just like, woo! And then we made clay-formed piece of flesh, and we did a silicone pour over it. These were our actual real first tests of what the flesh would look like. So you can see right there what we did. And hey, who's that good-looking guy? Jonathan Groff, I think. No. And then we did these pieces right here. This is not prosciutto. This is really for reals. This was solid with solid white put in first. This next one was a mix that we used where it was not all the way stirred up, so it had some translucency to it. Then we also used this one where it was solid red and solid white that we just did a red wipe over. And the last one was solid red and white painted in and white brushed off to show the muscle tissue. We needed to study as much as we could about the human form so that we had a great idea of where every muscle was in the body. And then there's the part about degloving. Degloving is some serious business. You had your son there. It's as if your skin gets caught on something and pulls it off as if it's a glove. You'll have all the underlying muscle tissue, but your flesh is there like a glove. It happens on fingers, it happens on legs. We had to look at so many pictures from medical sites. If you have a squeamish stomach, I ask you to close your eyes or cover your eyes right now, please. Please cover your eyes if you have a squeamish stomach. Ready? Okay, here we go. Here's the first one. Please keep it quiet. It's frightening, isn't it? Don't tell the people to go keep your eyes closed. Because the next one has a bone. The next one has a bone. It's horrifying. Yes, thank you for showing up. That's my dog. That's Duncan. Say hi. So we are not going to show you degloving because it's just that's rude. This is the skull. We did it. We covered it with foam. We cut out the muscle tissue. We put some of the meat slabs on top of it. Eric Hart made a cheek gel, put the gel on it. He also made here is an upper arm. This is hemp rope that all we did is put it on for a tendon. And we put the dragon skin over the top. Keep in mind that we haven't even seen our first production meeting at this point. We've only met with the director once, and we still have to convince her that we're not using real meat. Convince her.
It's all right, dude.
How good does that look? Would you believe that? That's completely dry. That is completely dry. We set up a table that had our legs, that had a thigh, and that had the blood sheet, different sheets ready to show what was covering.
And then you started making the prop.
And that's Eric Hart. And we're very serious about it. We got it approved. She was like, oh my God, you guys are brilliant. We took the entire body out to her, and then the problem came. We got a test, and it was approved. How are we going to make this an entire body? So we got a fourth quality non-medical skeleton. So we got the skeleton. Next thing we get was medical tubing, hemp rope, and dragon skin. Here's Eric with he was so happy when that came in. And there's Bucky. And Bucky only cost $103.95 shipping. So far, this body only cost us $665.96. I was going to get really worried if it cost us $666. Garden tools we used were Sureforms, mat knives, blocks of wood, sandpaper, emery boards, wax floss, anything that we could get our hands on. As you can see, there's medical tubing here with fibers coming out of it. This is just the hemp rope. And then we use the medical tubing to articulate the limbs. Because when you carried them in, we wanted legs flopping down and, so it looked real. This is one without foam coat. This is with foam coat. Foam coat makes it stronger. Foam coat also gives it one universal tint. So your red will punch as red. Now, no mistakes are mistakes. They're just, mistakes are not mistakes, they're opportunities for improvement. So there's no real mistakes at all. There's mistakes. But you learn from them. You learn from them. Why do I have two pictures of this? Because I take pictures of my work when I'm working. You guys gotta do that too. While you're working, take pictures, as many pictures as you can, so you can have your process shots whenever you need them. I'll get off my tangent. Here is the arm, and what we did is put Bondo on top of it to make it stronger on its outer edges. Stuck a piece of wood in it and put a tube in to look like an artery. Did it again with the fiber. This was our first test hand. And then we went with our next one, and we just started filling in on the hand. And there's the hand with a little bit of hemp rope. There's the hand with tendons. There's poor Michael who cut himself. But if you look, this reads, the different colors read, the textures read. They read from 7 foot away, and the colors made it read from way back there. It was great. We were really, really happy with the progression of our work. There's the final one. Another hand. The chest, we kept one side of the rib cage open just so that you could see inside in case they wanted to do entrails. We tape the inside in case of overspray, but it doesn't matter because it would overspray anyway. It doesn't matter with that stuff. It's going to go where it wants to go. Here is a leg and an arm, also with the research right next to it. Eric working on the leg with the medical tubing behind the kneecap. We filled out the parts that weren't high enough with Bondo, sanded them down. And this is the thigh and the first part of the leg. There's it with some fatty tissue on it, but just so it could bend and look okay. Here's the chest that Michael carved out. And we took away the tape, and you can see the inside of the rib cage. He used 4 different colors of red to show the highlights as well as the shadows. And the arm, here's the upper chest looking down through the spinal column. The end of the arm, and you can see just the fibers coming off here. Our actor was Anthony Mackie, and we had to match him. If any of you saw Hurt Locker, he was one of the main characters in Hurt Locker. So we had to make skin. So Eric found out if you put the dragon skin on top of sandpaper, ripped it off, you got a texture. You got a small piece of texture instead of just the shiny skin. So we took a bunch of different skins up to Anthony and found out what best matched him on his face, what best matched him on his chest, and we started putting them together, bit by bit. Michael Krikorian found this technique of just putting the pieces together and placing sandpaper over the top, and you can barely see that seam. I kissed him. It was amazing. I didn't know how we were going to do it. Here's an open wound that we decided to put in Bondo around the sides to make it strong. And then this is the finished wound. Totally dry. This is the head that we used. Started off on, and right there's Anthony. There's Anthony. So we got it all together and started working it. We used muslin that was coated in foam coat to create some of the skin. And that's what we're looking at. Eric did this and just dug out the face. Did the every day with that guy. We did muslin because we wanted some skin flapping off the back of the skull. Yeah, it looked great. It was okay, right? It's okay. They wanted hair on. Anthony doesn't have long hair, but you have to live in the world of the play. You have to live in the world of the play. The hair was added so Agave could bring the head on, hanging from the hair. He dresses up on a wig to be a woman to go and be a part of the Bacchanalia. So we just suspended disbelief, and then the hair just was a part of it. So that's no problem. 2 problems. Would the skull be big enough to be seen from the stage? So we need a skull 20% larger than the one we had. It looks great, but it doesn't look like our actor. So we're going to have to cast the face. There's a place down in New York called Evolution Store, write that down. They also ship anywhere in the world. They have every kind of skull, everything they have. It's great. So we had to cast Anthony's face. And this is the process. Always do a test run. 1 person talks. 1 person instructs. Create simple hand signals for the subject. I'm okay. I'm not doing so good. How much more time? Tell the subject exactly what they can expect beforehand, and have more supplies than you need. The supplies: alginate, plaster bandages, straws for the nose, Vaseline for the hair, wet, dry measuring cups. Wet cups and dry cups, okay? Do it, make sure. Mixing bowls, garbage bags to cover the subject, plaster of Paris to pour the face immediately, and modeling clay. And a squirrel cage mixer to mix up the plaster of Paris. Here's our volunteer, Sarah. She looks so happy that we get to do the mask on her. Now, this is her under the mask. Here's Mr. Mackey. We're explaining what we're going to do. We put his iPod on the radio so he was hearing his music. We had a fan on so it was nice and cool, and we checked in with him every few minutes. There's the straws, just to make sure he can breathe. Here's us removing it, and that's an exact duplicate of Mr. Mackey's face. Right in there, you take, you seal your nose before you put the plaster in. Because you're wondering, where's the plastic going? Amazing stuff. Wild, wacky stuff. And just make sure you use 3 seal it, you know, so you can go ahead and work with it. We made a secondary cast because there was enough water left in the alginate that we could reproduce another one. So you always want to have a backup. Remember to seal the mask. Remember to seal the mask. Here we built up a dam of plastic and clay and poured silicone inside to get a negative. There is Michael Krikorian and Eric. Beer made Michael really happy. He's Texas, I don't know. So here's this one, and here's that one. And we thought, oh, this is great. We took AB epoxy, hard epoxy. It was 2,000 ton epoxy to keep the jaw open so that it would not move, it would not fall off. We were guaranteed it was staying where it needed to be. So we had no worries that we didn't want to close the jaw.
Oh, no.
That's absolutely fun. We said, yes, we can do that. So we carved out the inside and closed the jaw. So here it is. We had all the body parts ready to go. The buttocks, the thigh, everything. Eric Hart worked painstakingly on the new head, closed the jaw, applied the face, and did his artistry on this. And I think you're really gonna like the results. Pretty amazing, isn't it? We scared people. Okay, I gotta get back. I don't want to lose time. So here we go. The head is on top of the theater side. The bloody sheet's there. The body's in the bloody sheet. We're ready to go. Tech's about to begin. The body's up at the Delacorte, ready for tech in the bar. So this is where we started. That's where we ended. That guy. And during tech, Michael Krikorian was downstairs with the head. And John Conklin, write that name down, an incredible designer who I have huge respect for, comes downstairs and asks Michael Krikorian for a mat knife. And Michael, being Texas gentleman he is, he gave him the mat knife. And he said, could I get the skull? Joanne wants to see something different. I came downstairs, Michael was shaking. And I was like, what's wrong? And he said, they cut off the face. He cut off the entire face of Bacchus. He cut off the face of Pentheus. And I looked at it, and I was like, if that was what needed to be done, that needed to be done. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, we're here to service the play. If they can't see it all the way back there, then he needed more light to reflect off it. It's not personal. We have to serve the play. And he was still kind of a little shocked. So it looked like that. It's not too bad, right? Oh, yeah. You didn't like it with the jaw closed for the 2 days that you had the jaw closed. Can you open that? Yes, we can. We can do that. And smile. Yeah, exactly. With a smile on our face. The question I asked Michael, I was like, did you enjoy the work? He's like, yeah. I said, were you happy to be working with a new medium? He was like, absolutely. I said, almost 2,000 people a night will see your hard work and your attention to detail. That should make you feel proud. 54,000 people will see your work. You should be happy about that. The detail work that you did. Be proud. He cut the face off right before Saturday night. Sunday was our invited dress and photo call. So we worked really quickly to get the jaw and the face covered with gore and to make it look like it needed to look like. And it looked pretty great. We shoved the jaw to the side a little bit and just just added some more color to be picked up. The grandfather brought the body back, and there's the Bacchanalia in the background. He said to his grandson that you'll never be a king. The mother took the body to the edge of the water to be washed off, and there she was lamenting over her lost son. Keep your mind open. Keep your ego in check. Does anybody know who this is? Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to tell you. This is the most you saw of the body. Oh. That is the most you saw of the body. They never opened the sheet. They never saw any. The audience never saw any. But the actors did. And the actors treated it with great respect. Does anybody know who this is? Bye. Hey, good luck on the audition.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Raj. You're wonderful.
You're great. I love you too. Oh, yeah. Okay. Shiva?
Dancing Shiva.
Dancing Shiva? What about it?
Creator of the world.
And Destroyer. Creator and Destroyer, dancing in a ring of fire, correct?
Correct.
With the hand, with the drum of time.
Yeah.
Okay? We know like perils around Shiva all the time. Yet Lord Shiva is calmly feeling time tick away, dancing in a ring of fire. Have you ever noticed this before? She's standing on a small person. That person is her ego, his ego. And when you're in the situation, when you are in the ring of fire, and time is ticking away, you should be as calm as Shiva and keep your ego in check. Because it's not about you. It's about the work that you do. It's about the team that you're on.
The ego is smiling. Don't forget to mention the ego is smiling.
A seismic renaissance, a giant shift, and it's so incredible. Because of mini cams, flip cams, and more, the means of artistic production have been democratized. For the people, for the first time in history, anyone is a potential author. How many of us know someone who is working on their second or third short film? Right? Everybody's artist. Audiences are dropping off dramatically. But art's participation is at its highest point than it has ever been in the entire history of mankind. You look on YouTube, you have instant distribution of your work. The reason we come out to these is not for ourselves, And the reason we go with the critiques and the responses is not for ourselves. We have taken the art to a certain point. And we want to make sure that you have the right tools, that when we are ready to put it down, that you're ready to pick it up and run with it. And there's a technological skill coming behind you in the next generation that are going to have things in theater we cannot even fathom. And we just want you guys to be ready. We want you to do your best. Work a little bit harder. Take your vision and define it. Take your style and distill it down to make sure that your thumbprint is different than anybody else's on stage. That's what we want from you. And that's why we come out and have these times so we can be inspired by you and go back to wherever we're going and face those 5 texts in a row, or face lives that are a little bit hard but have great dignity. And I'll tell you this, it's not going to be easy, but I guarantee you it's going to be worth it. Thank you guys very much. Okay, you guys got me. I'm all gushy now.